Fasten your seatbelt and turn up the radio. We're going on a road trip. I'm Glen Moberg, and today on Route 51, we introduce you to Daniel Mielke, Republican candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District. Mr. Mielke is an organic, sustainable farmer from the Rudolph area near Stevens Point in central Wisconsin. He's been involved in local politics over the past several years as a property rights advocate and as one of the organizers behind a successful drive to implement an elected county board supervisor in Portage County. He's also been compared to David taking on Goliath in his quest to unseat a different David, longtime incumbent Dave Obey, who has held the 7th District congressional seat for 38 years. We'd like to welcome those of you who are longtime Route 51 listeners on the Ideas Network stations of WLBL AM and FM in Wausau and Auburndale Stevens Point and WHBM FM in Park Falls. And we'd like to welcome those of you who are listening to this program for the first time on a special live broadcast on KUWS Superior. We'll be talking to Mr. Mielke about his background, his reasons for running, and his stance on the issues facing the district, Wisconsin, and America. We'll get his response from some of Mr. Obey's comments over the past year, and we'll be taking your calls and questions live on the air. Toll free at 1-800-780-9742. That's 1-800-780-9742. If you are listening in the Wausau area, 715-261-6371, 261-6371. And we do have a couple of lines open right now. Daniel Mielke, thanks for being with us for the next hour. Tell us about yourself and your family.
Well, I think you pretty much summed it up right there. I'm a family of 5, 3 children, 2 beautiful daughters, and a very good-looking son that looks like his dad, and a wonderful wife. They're all adults. My wife and I are alone now and enjoying the opportunities to put our time in and our service into our country.
And you have been a self-employed businessman for your entire life, more or
Well,
less?
in the earlier years, I worked briefly for Oscar Myers and in the plastic factories, and I worked for Preway for a few years and in the sawmill industry. After that, I went into self-employment, and I've been there ever since.
And you're an organic, sustainable farmer. Tell us about that.
Well, I grow things organically, but I'm not certified anymore because when I was the president on the board for the founding of MOSA, we could not be...
What is MOSA?
MOSA is Midwest Organic Services Association. It's an organization that actually oversees and certifies farmers and processing plants throughout the Midwest and in Canada. And in order to be there, could not have a conflict of interest. I could not be certified by them anymore. I was originally with OCIA, so I dropped my certification.
So what does it mean to be a sustainable farmer?
Sustainable organic farmer is basically the concept of growing your products naturally, organically, in such a way that the soils and the environment is sustained, that you're not depleting the soils, you're not hurting the environment, and you're actually building a stronger and healthier crop.
How many acres do you have?
We have about 75, but actually I do high tunnel agriculture, so the bulk of my crops are actually enclosed in tunnel systems out in the fields. We have about 10 of those, and then we also have the berries and the fruit trees that are out in the open.
And what do you grow?
We grow vegetables and produce, predominantly tomatoes, cucumbers, berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, peppers, the general, what you would find if you went to a farmer's market.
Any livestock?
We raise a few sheep each year. We used to have livestock, but there's a conflict there. The livestock like to eat the vegetables. And so we had to make a decision to either have one or the other, and we chose the ones that go dormant in the winter.
Now, some would say that this is an unusual occupation for a Republican candidate for Congress, and that rightly or wrongly, Republicans have a pretty poor record on the environment. How do you respond to people who hear that you're running as a Republican, as a sustainable farmer, and they scratch their heads?
Well, they probably should say it's about time. I have a problem with the idea of putting issues in a party camp. Issues are American issues. They're issues of importance, and they should not be based on partisans, sections as far as fighting back and forth. And when you start to take and label an issue Republican or Democrat, what you're doing is you're putting a hindrance to that process fulfilling itself. And I'm opposed to that. The organic industry, as a Republican, I have no problem with that. I know a lot of people that are in the organic industry that are Republicans, as well as Democrats and the Green Party. It's a way of life. It's a belief system that we hold, and it's something that we consider very important, and that's healthy food.
Have you ever run for elected office before?
Oh, I've had my share of running for campaigns, either in front as in an office position or behind the scenes trying to put something in place. I did fight very strongly for the county executive situation, where we put a county executive in elected position in Portage County. That was a twice battle. The first time we went through, we lost. Second time, it was just me and one lady that was pretty much doing the battle, and we turned it around and won that one.
And why was that important to you?
I have a problem with government not having the voice of the people. When you put in a county administrator who is not elected, you have no say. There's no motivation for that administrator to actually listen to the people. When it's elected, every so often he has to go back to the people and get a sanction to stay in power. And I think that's important.
I don't want to dwell too much on local politics because our focus is on national politics. But those who favor appointed administrators, city managers, county administrators, say that's a professional businessman's way of running the government.
Yeah, but I'm the professional boss, and I like to be able to fire him as a citizen. And I think the citizen should have the right to do that. I don't think there's any administrator or any profession where the people do not have to answer to their employer, the boss. And the boss in this case is the people.
Dan, and I am going to call you Dan. I tend to be informal with people. We've had Dave Obey on this show, and we call him Dave, so I'm going to return.
Dan is on the ballot.
So don't take offense if you think we should be more formal. We're not going to be formal here today. But why are you taking this great leap and running for Congress, of all things, without really having much of a background in elected office?
Well, that's one of the concerns I have, is it seems like the only people that ever go into politics are those who have a background in elected offices. And I believe our government is founded on the principle and the precepts that those who should run the country are those who live within the country and experience the life of being in that country. An elected official that's subsidized by the government generally does not represent the people. He represents his background. The difference between Mr. Obey and I, he started in politics when he was 24, fresh out of college. I've got quite a few years of living in this country, self-employed, working in business, without being government subsidized. I think I have a better ability to represent the people.
Daniel Mielke, he's running as a Republican against Dave Obey for Congress. We are taking your phone calls at 1-800-780-9742. That's 1-800-780-9742. Let's go to the phones right now. Jody in Frederick, you're on Route 51. Hello, Jody.
Hi. As I understand, you know a little bit about sustainability, and my concern is the sustainability of our government at a time when the federal government spends about $20,000 per U.S. household and taxes at a rate of about 40% of average household income. What would you like to see happen to bring these numbers more in line with long-term sustainability of our government?
Well, first of all, hopefully our government isn't the prime focus of sustainability, but our nation is. And in order to have a sustainable nation, or a nation that's self-sufficient, we need to make sure that the people are taken care of. We need to make sure that our infrastructure is in place, that our businesses are sound, that our economy is strong. Government has a problem of often losing focus on where it's supposed to be and becomes an entity of itself. And they look at us as more of, as well as in the farming industry, as cattle to milk. And I'm opposed to that. I believe that the government is there to serve you and me. And the idea is to do it as efficiently and as we possibly can, and to focus on making sure that our country is strong, that our country is prosperous, and that our country is free.